Hello everyone, welcome to Astronauts. This is Kris. Our next topic is Aspergers and asexuality. And I have Asperger syndrome, as well as many asexuals. I don't know if they're linked. I think there might be some form of link between asexuality and Asperger's. I'm not quite sure. I actually found out I was asexual before I found out I had Asperger's. But I just want to go over with you what Asperger's is, because I had heard about the term because there's a lot of people at my church who have Asperger syndrome, and I just never bothered looking into it. And it turns out I actually do have Asperger syndrome, and I found out when I was 20 from my doctor. She was the one who figured out I had the traits, and I looked it up, and I have almost exactly all the traits of someone with Asperger's. Asperger's is part of the autistic spectrum, so if you've heard of autism, it's similar to that, but it's a higher functioning form of autism. It doesn't mean we're better than other people with autism. It just means we can fake being around normal people better than some other autistic people. I found this list online, a list of possible characteristics of a person with Asperger syndrome. And I'm going to put a link in the description below so you can look at it for yourself. I really wish I had known about these traits because they seem very disjointed. And if you don't put the pieces together, you'll always wonder why you're the weird kid who has all these weird traits about you. But all of these weird traits are of Asperger's. And so when I found out I had Asperger's, it was a big relief to me to realize why my brain works the way it does, because it works differently than most people. And I think asexuals do think differently than most people for the most part, because there's only about 1% of us, so obviously there's a lot that's different with us. But finding out I had Asperger's kind of put everything into perspective for me, and it made me realize why I am the way I am and why I never really seem to fit in. So I'm just going to go over this list with you. I might touch on some of them. Pretty much everything that I'm going to say applies to me personally. Now, not everything on this list. If there's like some things that you find yourself, that doesn't necessarily mean you have Asperger's, but it's a pretty good indication that you do. And I don't know why, but a lot of asexuals do end up having Asperger's. And it's just an interesting correlation. But I wanted to just inform you of Asperger syndrome because I know not many people know about it. So here we go. Number 1, cognitive learning. Excellent rote memory in certain areas. I can memorize scripts really well. I can memorize movie quotes really well. I can memorize facts and information really well. Tests are pretty easy for me because memory just comes easily. So yeah, that's definitely one for me. Unregular fears, difficulty judging situations that create fear. Very detailed oriented. Difficulty seeing overall picture or situation. Applies same level of detail to every situation, whether appropriate or not. May have exponentially high skills in some areas, but very low skills in others. That's true for me. I've always been a really good artist. And ever since I could hold a pencil, I have been above average in various forms of art ever since I was a little kid. And acting and doing voices and things like that. Prefers concrete rather than abstract concepts. And I think that's one of the reasons why romance is so difficult for people with Asperger's, is because love is kind of an abstract concept rather than making logical sense. Romance doesn't make any logical sense, so it's really hard for like me to process that. I don't even really know what love is because of it. Number 2 is language. Excellent vocabulary may sound like little professors. Conversational language may appear stilted. speaks with stock phrases or phrases borrowed from other situations or people. That is definitely like me. In everyday situations, I have like a script in my head of what I need to say in certain situations. And if someone deviates from the script, it's really hard for me to know how to respond to that because it's not in my bank of knowledge. Makes honest but often inappropriate observations. People think that someone with Asperger's is rude because we speak the truth and we don't exactly know when we should stop or not. Has difficulty adjusting volume and speed in speech. This happens to me all the time. My sister will be like, "You're so loud! Quiet your voice, you're speaking too loudly." And I don't even realize I'm doing it. Literal language, difficulty understanding figures of speech, similes, parodies, allegories, etc. I also have a really hard time understanding sarcasm. I'm starting to finally pick up on it, but that's one of the harder things for me. Repeats last word or phrases several times, difficulty understanding some language. Number 3 is emotions. Rage, anger, hurt may all be expressed in unexpected ways, which can be a meltdown. I've had several meltdowns before where if I get too overstimulated, I just melt down and it's not really a pretty sight. We're perfectionistic, easily overstimulated by sound, crowds, light, smells. That's the worst. I can't go to concerts. I can't go to crowded places. I get panic attacks. Sounds. There's a lot of sounds I don't like. A lot of sensory issues. Number 4 is motor skills. Difficulty with some skills requiring motor skill development. May have some advanced age-appropriate skills, while other age-appropriate skills are delayed. Unusual walking gait or clumsiness. Yeah. Difficulty with motor skills that require visual perception accuracy. Number 5 is we develop obsessions. I know I was obsessed with Lord of the Rings at one point, and I was obsessed with Marvel another point. You just become obsessed with things, and you don't just like things, you obsess over them. Compulsions. Many and varied collections. Oh yes, my room is like filled with things I've collected over the years, and I have many different collections, and they just keep growing. Redirection, very difficult. Changing focus or thinking from one activity to another. That's really difficult. Multitasking is really hard. One emotional incident can determine the mood for the rest of the day. Number 6 is social cues. Difficulty reading facial expressions and emotion in another person. This is very difficult. It's called like mind blindness. We can't really perceive what other people are thinking, and we can't empathize with them. We can sympathize, but we can't really empathize. Difficulty understanding body language. Difficulty understanding the rules of conversation. Difficulty understanding group interactions. Too much or too little eye contact. I cannot look people in the eyes. I look either at the nose or the mouth when I'm talking to them because the words come out from the mouth. So I look at your mouth when you're talking to me. And looking at the eyes is really hard. And sometimes I won't even look at you altogether. Difficulty understanding others' humor. Problem recognizing faces out of the unusual settings or known context. Standoffish or overly friendly, either or. May adopt others' behavior, speech, or dress habits to aid in more fluid communication and social adaptation. Number 7 is senses. Very sensitive or undersensitive to light, pain, taste, touch, sound, and smell. Again, sensory issues, which I definitely have. May have injuries of which they are not aware. May experience physical pain from oversensitivity to light, touch, and sound. Very picky eater. May crave specific touch, taste, smell, sight, sound, and lights. Oversensitive to change in surroundings, people, places, and overstimulation may result from too many verbal directions or instructions. Number 8 is comfort skills. Desire comfort items to produce calming effects. I still sleep with a stuffed animal, and I love collecting stuffed animals. May need external stimulation for calming, such as brushing, soothing sound. Comforted by minor motor stimulation. Rocking, humming, tapping fingers, toes, sucking, rubbing fingertips in circles or on seams of clothes. May need separate space or area to decompress. Number 9 is neurological function. Erratic neurological function, attention difficulties and irregular sleep patterns, understanding and working with time concepts difficult. Time can just slip away. Time just goes by so quickly for me. I can be so engrossed in doing something that time just flies by and I don't even realize it. Sensory processing disorders. And number 10 is new situations, patterns, and people. Rule oriented. That is definitely me. I am so rule oriented. I was always the kid that followed the rules and never wanted to deviate from anything. Prefers known patterns with little unexpected surprises. Prefers familiar places, clothing, and people. Difficulty with transitions when changing activities. Difficulty making and maintaining friendships. More successful with adults than other children or young people. So that's a list of the traits. Again, I'll put the link in the description below. If any of those sound like you might want to look more into Asperger syndrome, because I know that when I found out that I had Asperger's, it really helped me understand who I was more and why I was the way I was. And it kind of helped explain my asexuality. Now, it doesn't mean everyone with Asperger's is asexual, and it doesn't mean everyone who's asexual has Asperger's. But there definitely does seem to be some kind of link, because I know a lot of people who are. So I just wanted to share that with you all. Our next topic, I think, is on gender and asexuality, so look forward to hearing what other people have to say about that. So we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.